So just a bit of quick housekeeping. So please keep yourself on mute while the speaker is presenting. And number two, if you have any questions, just put them in the chat box. I'll read them at the end of the session, or you can ask the speaker directly at the end of the session. All right, welcome to the Alumni Chronicle. So this is actually a monthly series where alumni share their journeys, insights, and achievements through their stories. They inspire both students and staff, fostering growth, connection, and mentorship. This platform celebrates their experiences while enriching the education community with shared wisdom. So today will be our second session, and it's all going to be about effective classroom assessment strategies, focusing on authentic and performance-based assessments. Now, let me introduce our amazing speaker. Dr. Mohana Ram Murgaya is a DG 14 Master Teacher, Guru Cemerlang at SMK Perempuan Methodist Ipoh, Malaysia. He earned both his master's and doctoral degrees in English language teaching from the University of Nottingham. With 21 years of experience as a teacher, debater, educational writer, and researcher, he has led initiatives such as the annual PBL programs, inspired by his 2015 scholarship to the International Leaders in Education program at the United States. His awards include the Best English Teacher Award 2015, Basil Vijaya Suraya Awards 2017-2018, Global Teacher Award 2019, and McDonald's Inspiration Teacher Award 2022. He has also conducted numerous workshops across Malaysia. We're incredibly lucky to have him with us today, and so let's give him a warm welcome. Dr. Mohana, over to you.
Hi, thank you, Ms. Arti. Very good afternoon, everyone. I'm glad to be here today. I'm Mohana, and I'm teaching at Methodist Girls' School, Ipoh, Perak. So just a little bit about me. I started teaching in year 2003 after I graduated from local university in Malaysia, UUM, University Utara Malaysia. My first posting was in Sarawak. I went to SMK Bintulu Sarawak, a national school, and I was there for about 9 years, from 2003 until 2012, until towards the end of 2012. Am I audible? Clear, right? Okay. So then after that, in 2012, I asked for transfer. Then I was transferred to Ipoh Perak Methodist Girls' School, Ipoh, in 2012. So from September 2012, until today, I've been in Methodist Girls' School, Ipoh. So overall, altogether, it has been 21 years. 21, yeah. Yeah, sorry, it's 22 years. It has been 22 years teaching English language. And yeah, I've taught students in Form 1, Form 2, when my first few years when I started teaching, I taught Form 1 and Form 2 students. Then I taught Form 6, then I taught Form 4, Form 5. And I think the longest level that I have been teaching is Form 4 and Form 5 students. That is like for the past 15 years, I've been teaching Form 4 and Form 5 students. And I also became a Guru Cemerlang in my 7th year of teaching. That was also in Bintulu. That was my first promotion as Guru Cemerlang. Then my second and third promotion as Guru Cemerlang came when I was in Methodist Girls' School, Ipoh, after I got transferred. So so that's basically about me. Then I did my master's at University of Nottingham started in 2012 and completed in 2015. 2014 end, okay, then 2015 I graduated. So in between I went to United States, an international program where I got sponsored by the Fulbright program. It was a Fulbright sponsorship program, so I was there for 6 months. International Leaders in Education program, and this program is no longer in existence. Okay, they stopped this program when Trump became president for the first time. Okay, that was like many years ago. They stopped this program, and the only program that is in existence for local Malaysian teachers or teachers from Asia that you can apply for United States right now is the TEA program. So if you are a teacher who have been teaching like for about more than 3 years, you can go and Google about the TEA program. Teaching excellence under Fulbright sponsorship is still open until 18 March. but this TEA program is kind of shorter compared to the one I went. The one I went in 2015 was more of a 6 months program. And I was stationed at a secondary school, not the secondary school, a middle school and high school. So ILAB program was like kind of just a little bit sharing, yeah. So it's like I do 5 days a week, where 3 days I go to a school, whether it's a middle school or a high school. I'll be shadowing a teacher. I'll be co-teaching with the teacher for 3 days. Then 2 days I go to university and I take up 2 courses at the university. I was at Clemson University, yeah, because I was stationed in South Carolina. So that was basically the program. And apart from that, it was also a cultural experience. And actually this program going to United States and having exposure on a lot of things actually helped me a lot in building my professional my career as a teacher and as my profession as well. So if any of you think that you're qualified, like, because I think some of you have already been teaching in schools for like a few years probably. So if you are interested, you can actually apply for this program. Okay, and it's still open until 18 March. That's a Fulbright TEA program. So that's basically about me. So yeah, I only recently completed my doctoral studies, which was in last year December. Last year December I completed, and I did everything part-time, yeah. Like my master's I did part-time, and my PhD I did part-time, and it's quite taxing. Okay, so yeah, like this year I'm like kind of very free. So what I'm going to do today is I'm just going to share with you a few things on basically most of it are on my classroom practices, things that I have done in my classroom, and things that I have been doing now. So and I have quite a number of slides. I think they are enough for the next 2 hours to share with you, right? So let me just start with the first one. All right. Okay, so just okay. So I have my Padlet here. Actually, I prepared my Padlet. So I wanted you to post on if you have any questions or anything so that I can look at Padlet. But since you have already been asked to put any messages in the chat box, Miss RT has already asked you to put messages in any of your concerns or questions on the chat box, so then we ignore this. All right, so today I'm going to talk about, because what I'm going to share with you are quite a lot of activities that involve how I do my classroom assessment. So I'm not going to bore you with this lecture of what assessment is, but what I'm going to share with you today is not on assessment of learning. Okay, assessment of learning is mostly on the summative assessment. So what I'm going to share with you today is mostly on assessment for learning, assessment as learning. So like if you see right now, the Malaysian English language curriculum, if those of you who are doing your practicum, I'm sure you have already gone through the scheme of work, the yearly lesson plan the school that has prepared. We are looking at the curriculum which has been aligned with the CEFR English language curriculum. And also, our curriculum, we are trying our best to do away with exam-oriented classroom practices. Okay, we do not want our classroom practices to be very much drilling for examination. So what happened is, that is why this new curriculum has been introduced. Because previously, if you look in previously, just giving you a picture of what happened, why we have already shifted to this new curriculum. Previously, until 2015, if I'm not mistaken, the new curriculum was introduced 2016. So until 2015, and the post-colonial era, where the KBSM and KBSR was introduced. Actually, the KBSM and KBSR was introduced in 1980s, early 1980s. I'm a product of KBSM, KBSR. I think your lecturers, most of your lecturers are product of the KBSM and KBSR era. Okay, so what happened was, KBSM and KBSR English language curriculum, it was mostly on focusing on communicative language teaching. Okay, and if you see the curriculum document that was prepared for this KBSM and KBSI English language curriculum, I only looked at it recently. Yeah, so it was actually very perfectly done, but somehow something went wrong. So the entire English language teaching turned into examination-based teaching. So what does it mean by examination-based teaching? Teachers, right from the beginning of the year till the end of the year, they just do and discuss the questions and texts which are all examination formatted. Meaning to say, if the examination format has a text, okay, then the text you have to answer 10 multiple choice questions. So that is the entire lesson. Okay, so I remember even I was like, did that kind of drilling for my English language lesson. Whenever the teacher comes in, they will just give you a workbook, ask you to do the practice in the workbook because that is coming out in the SPM. So that was the kind of English language lessons we had even up to 2015. Even at that point of time when I was still teaching, yeah, I started teaching in 2003. Even when I tried to come up with activities, incorporate different types of activities in classroom, students always had doubts because what they know is teaching is all about preparing for examination. Learning, going to school and English, if you go for English class, it's all about preparing for examination. That was what the system was. But then I have already started this assessment for learning and as learning slowly into my classroom practices, because when I did my training, I was exposed to a lot of things, and I had a lot of reference which I'm planning to share with you in a while. Okay, which when I do all my classroom activities that I'm going to share with you after this, I'm going to share with you also the sources where I get all these activities from. So what happened? Slowly, the system moved. So the most effective move, or I would say that the good move that the ministry made was in 2016 to align the curriculum with the CEFR framework, and teachers were given training extensively in a cascade mode. So teachers in Malaysia, whole Malaysia, were given training to move away from the examination based teaching. They do not want, and I was also one of the master trainers, we didn't want teachers to focus solely on examination when they teach. Yeah, examination is part of it, but it is practice. And so what was the training about? What was the training about? The training was mostly about classroom teaching, and the classroom teaching involves a lot of assessment for learning and assessment as learning. And when we go into assessment for learning, assessment as learning, that's when we talk about formative assessment, and that is when we introduce a lot of classroom activities which are actually, when you see whatever activities we are doing in classroom, it's either we are doing assessment as learning or assessment for learning, or we are actually preparing students to towards a fluency or towards a certain skill in English language. So what happens in 2016, the new curriculum started, and the curriculum moved into, wait, I'll just move this. Okay. Oh, this is a different one. Wait. Let me just share another one. Stop sharing this and I'll share another slide. I'll do speaking first. Wait, there's another one. Okay. Okay, so what happened was that was when we started to introduce the curriculum where we start having all the 4 major skills in classroom, meaning to say we start having reading, writing, listening, and speaking in classroom. Okay, prior to that, most of the classroom practices were basically reading and writing skills only. The entire nation, I mean, whole Malaysia we had activities which were only focusing on teaching reading and writing. That's it. We didn't have speaking in the classroom. We didn't have listening in the classroom. So the current curriculum, which is aligned to the CEFR aligned curriculum, has been divided into the four main components, which is reading, writing, listening, and speaking. Okay, so this is how the curriculum is, and teachers have been trained to do a lot of activities which are focusing on developing the students' language skills according to the aspects that have been given in the framework, in the curriculum documents, meaning to say listening for information, listening for critical thinking, listening for certain aspects, that is for listening, and reading for information. Okay, all this is not something new. All this has been, if you are, I'm sure you are, as undergraduate students, when you did your courses, all these things that I'm going to share, like some elements of it, you might have come across in some of your lessons, or some of your projects, or some of your assignments that you did. So all these are not new, but then it was aligned and put properly into the curriculum then in 2016. So now what I'm going to share with you today is I'm going to share with you how the curriculum has been, how do I navigate the curriculum in my classroom. Okay, now first, let us look at this activity. Okay, now I'm just going to give you a moment to look at this activity. So, and tell me, how do you know, how would you plan, this is a reading task. Okay, this is a reading task. Okay, how would you do a reading activity for this text? Anybody would like to share how would you prepare an activity for this particular reading lesson? Anybody would like to share?
Okay, since no, I think I'll share.
Okay, yes, you are my victim.
No, I could not think anything right on top of my head, but I think as simple as it is, probably I would um divide them into groups and ask them assign each per each name to each groups, and then ask them to read it first. That means rehearse, and then come back, and then we're gonna read it together. And then after that, probably highlight vocabs, and then we might do some comprehension questions after.
All right, thank you. Okay, yes. What I'm going to share with you, with all of you, is quite similar to what Arti has said. Okay, just I have some extension to this activity. So what I will do, what I normally will do for this lesson is, okay, if you see the first box here, I have a few statements. Okay, I have a few statements. So normally, I would try these statements one by one. And before I put on these statements, my classroom, I have 4 sides in my classroom. So each side, I would put one statement as agree, strongly agree, disagree, and strongly disagree. I will have 4 sides. So what I would do is, just before I start reading, before I do the reading activity, or you can do this as a post-reading activity as well. So I'll just put this social media, I will just read it out loud. Social media is a great way to make new friends. So what I will do is, if you strongly agree, those who strongly agree go to the corner that has written strongly agree. Those who do not agree, strongly disagree, you go to the corner where it is written strongly disagree. So there will be 4 groups of students. So what happened is, I would ask them to think back of this statement, or if I've written it on the whiteboard, I would just ask them to, okay, read, okay, and think, why do you say this? And try to convince as much as your friend from the other 3 groups to join your group. Okay, so this is one way of doing it. Okay, where they will start discussing in their with their groups in the 4 corners of their classroom, and then they would have their discussion, and then one representative will come out and they will give their reasons, and then the others might interject or share a different opinion, and after they have finished the discussion, So what happened is I would ask, okay, how many of you want to change after listening to what your friends have said? Who is going to move places? For example, if you disagree, you want to move to agree or strongly agree, up to you. So I would see. Then after that, then I will move to the second statement. So it depends how much time you have. Normally, what I would do is I would just do 1 or 2 or 3 statements. Okay, this is one simple activity that I would do before reading. This is before reading. Now, once I'm done with this activity, so what I would go next is, this is what similar to what Arti said. Okay, but normally what I would do is, this is how I will do the cooperative learning activity, meaning to say each group will be assigned one character, or in each group, I will assign, if there are 4 in a group, normally I have my own English room and we have one Japanese table. So what happened is I have already prepared the classroom with group work, for group work with 4 students in a group. So normally I would ask each group to read either one, or I will do it the other way around. So group A, probably they read A, B read B, C read C, D read D. So once they finish reading, so what happened is I would ask them, normally I have colored ice cream sticks, colored ice cream sticks to make things easier for them. So each group A, I will give them ice cream stick red. Group B, I'll give them ice cream stick blue. Then the other one, group yellow and green. Or if I have more groups, then there will be more colors. So what happens? I will just give them like the first 10 minutes to read. Okay, the first 10 minutes done with the earlier activity. So the second 10 minutes or 15 minutes to read. So what I will do is, once they finish reading, so what they have to do is, I do not allow them to carry the books. Okay, good classes, okay, I do not allow them to carry the books, meaning to say, I just want them to read and then close the book, okay, and go, whatever they remember, they go and share with other group members. Meaning to say, they will have a new group, meaning to say, earlier, each group, I've already given them separate ice cream sticks, right? So what happened here is, they have to go and find a new group with people holding different colored ice cream sticks, and then they sit as a group, and each of them will explain. Okay, for example, red is will talk about Alicia, blue will talk about Adrian, C will talk about Ryan, and D will talk about Emma. So this is how they will do this cooperative learning activity. So then they will collect all this information, and then they come back to the table. Okay, they will come back to the table, and then they will start discussing. And that's when they will start opening their books, okay, and then see what they have shared, what they have not shared, or what they have missed from the sharing. Now, this is one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is, when they are already mixed in different colored groups, what I will ask them to do is, okay, when the student presenting Alicia, she's talking about it, student B, C, and D from the other colors, they are allowed to open the book and look at the statement that she says about Alicia. Okay, while she's talking about Alicia, the rest of them listen and refer to the text, which part she's explaining. Once she finished explaining, these 3 will say, okay, we have understood. Okay, but actually you missed some part on Alicia that you have actually explained to us. Or they can even, while listening and they are looking at the text, they can actually ask questions. What do you think? And so this is like promoting speaking in the classroom. There are 2 ways of doing it. So if you want to make it difficult, like for very proficient students, good students, like in Malaysian setting, like in a normal national school setting, what happens is, the moment you have a textbook and everything is written, you ask students to do group work. What happens is, the speaking task, when you ask them to do the speaking task, they will be so much dependent on the book. They will be so much dependent on the book. For example, the text, that they might not want to speak, but they would just read it back to their friends. So to prevent this, I have trained my students. Like, it takes a long time to train them. Okay, I've trained my students. I say, I give you such a short period of time to read. I want you to close your book, and then I want to speak about it. I do not want you to memorize, but I want you to explain what you have understood. So this is like verbalizing whatever they have read, and then for them to actually explain to their friends how much they have understood, what they have understood, so that they just explain what they have read to their friends. So this is one way of doing it. So now, done with this, okay, this activity might take about 20 minutes. So the first 10 minutes, I did the speaking activity. The second 20 minute, okay, that's about 40 minutes. So what I do is I do this reading 10 minutes and then doing the group discussion about 10 minutes. Okay, done with this. After that, I will ask them to do this activity. Okay, finding information from the text. Okay, the opinion and reason is a summarized task. Okay, if you see all my worksheets, okay, my worksheets mostly I've designed my own worksheets. Okay, I designed my own worksheets. The textbook activities are just some extra activities that I will give them as a homework, or sometimes I would just ignore the textbook activities because I design my own activities because it helps me to focus, or it helps me to see what I expect my students to understand. For example, if you see this task A, I want them to skim and scan for information and then put that in here. Okay, in a written form. We have done with the discussion. The speaking task is done. The speaking task based on the reading is done in the earlier part. So here is skimming and scanning for information and then putting it in their own words. Okay, then task B, okay, also skimming and scanning for information. Okay, they identify the advantages and disadvantages based on all the 4 students. Okay, and okay, this is a little bit of vocabulary that we will have on based on given in the task. Okay, so that is basically one of the reading activities that I have done in my classroom lah. Okay, so if you see this activity, it's not only can be done if you have a text with all these 4 boxes like this. Okay, even a normal text you can reorganize the text into 4 parts, or depends on the number of groups you have in your class. So if like you have, you can put 6 groups. Okay, 6 groups. If 4 in a group, 6 group mean 4 times 6, 24. So meaning to say you need to you organize the paragraph into 6, the essay into 6 paragraphs. Each group gets 1 paragraph. Okay, so this is mostly can be done for factual text, but if you are doing for narrative, okay, if you're doing for narrative, it can be done basically what we say, it can be done in a different way. For example, continuing the story. For example, if you are doing a narrative, the same thing, A, B, C, D, you give them different excerpts of the story. So probably you can, if the group that gets the first excerpt, you can ask them to predict what's going to happen next. Okay, if the other groups, okay, who got all the middle paragraphs, okay, ask them to read the middle paragraph, ask them to guess what happened earlier and what's going to happen next. And the last group, what they can do is, if it's this is for narrative, yeah, they get the text and they actually have to think what actually could have happened in the story throughout that leads to this kind of ending. Okay, and this one they have to discuss in a very hush situation, in a manner so that the other group don't listen to what they are discussing and share. Oh, actually, no, this didn't happen. Something else happened. Students tend to do this. And if you're doing a narrative, so what you have to do is you first have to ask the students to present first. What do you think has happened? What do you think have going to happen? So each group will present. The other groups, even if they find it funny, they should keep quiet. They shouldn't actually share what actually is going to happen. Then only once each group is presenting, every group has finished presenting, the entire class would find out what actually happened in the story, who went right, who went wrong. Okay, so that is how you can do cooperative learning for narrative. So actually factual, you can do this what I've shared here. Narrative also you can do it, but you have to what we call that, you have to tweak a little. All right, now any question on this? No questions?
Looks like there's
Yes.
no questions.
Okay,
Yes.
let me just share another. Okay, let me just go for
Alright.
this. Okay, now another thing that I would like to share with y'all is this. Wait, that is. Just going to stop sharing this. Share new slide. Okay, now if you see, Can you see the new slide? Yes, okay.
Can.
Right. Okay. Okay,
Oh.
so it's purple. Can you see?
1 second. No, it's not the new slides. It's the old reading slides. Are you sharing something else?
Okay, I'm sharing again. Yeah, let me share again. Okay. All right. So this is what I'm sharing here is this is the range, okay, language range for the CEFR aligned curriculum. So meaning to say, if you are teaching in a national school or the public school, so what you have to do is whenever you are teaching the language, you have to make sure the language level that you are teaching is according to what is given here. So if you see the A1 and A2 being the lowest is for primary level in Malaysia. So in Malaysia, when the student steps into in Form 1, they suppose that the minimum level of English language accusation that they should have is an A2 high. That's the basic level, A2 high. Meaning to say they should be able to understand simple sentences, able to respond in a simple manner. Okay, but when they go to Form 4 and Form 5, it's B1 and B2. B1 and B2. And if you see our textbooks, our textbooks in our schools, we do not have any textbooks at C1 level. Okay, we don't do any activities at C1 level. The highest in Form 5, we do B2 high. That's it. Okay, so when I do my activities, it all depends on my own students' language level. Like for example, I may have a class of Form 4 students or Form 5 students, but these Form 4 and Form 5 students, they could be at an A2 high level. They are not a B1 or B2, or they have not reached to B1, B2 yet. So what I have to do is I have to simplify, despite the curriculum document stating me to have to do it at a B2 level. I have to simplify because my students will shut down. They wouldn't want to listen or wouldn't want to do if I maintain a level that is higher to them. They will not be able to do the task. They will give up. Okay, so that is why I'm showing this, because although the curriculum document has all this, asking expected levels of proficiency among the students, I have to still lower down to certain extent at some parts, at some points, for some lessons or for some tasks. Okay, the topic might be the same, but the text I would have simplified to suit the student's level. Okay, to help the students to build the proficiency, because something is missing there. Okay, so I would have to work out on improving their proficiency. So that is one thing. Now, the next thing that I'm going to share with you is, okay, now this is a writing activity, so collaborative classroom activity. Okay, so here I'm going to share with you one writing, and then I have a few speaking activities I did recently. Then after this, I'm going to share with you my recent classroom activities, which I have tried to integrate with AI. And then after that, I'm also going to share with you a little bit on project-based learning. Now, when it comes to classroom activities, writing or any activity, be it reading, for me, I would always plan it earlier what I want to do in my class. But even when I plan it, I plan what I want to do in the class. When I go to the classroom, I in between my instruction, I may get a new idea, Suddenly when I'm giving the instruction to the students, and suddenly something will pop up my head, and then my instruction will start to change to something else. But at the same time, I would always remember that my learning objective is what I'm expecting my students to do. Okay, so for this task here, this is a web page, and based on this web page, students need to do a write-up particularly on this topic. Okay, and its students are required to write in simple present tense. Okay, so what I asked the students to do is I did my scaffolding. Okay, I first asked my students to identify the tenses. okay, in the text, and then we discuss with them. Normally, what I do is I won't explain anything. I would just, my first introduction to the lesson is, for this one, I would just ask my students to talk about, okay, talk to me about your friend. Okay, not your current friend, not your old friend, but current friend. Who is your friend now? So I would tell them, okay, did you use your simple present tense? Okay, these are some of the questioning techniques that I would use. Then only I will go into the lesson. So before I do the task, before they do this task, the writing task here, the real writing task here, what the students are expected to do is, the students need to be shown what to do, how to do. Okay, so that is when the samples given in the textbook helps a lot. Okay, especially like if you see this task here, my mates and I, and then my interest, Ahmad's webpage here, it's a very simple language, so students should be able to understand. Okay, so I would ask students to look at the sentence, ask them questions, ask them to identify simple present tense, ask them to identify the subject-verb agreement, ask them to identify where did they use any adjective, okay, how many different types of present tense they have used, whether they have used simple present, how many present tense, how many times present perfect continuous tense have been used, how many times present continuous have been used. All these things I will ask them to do as a group first. Okay, discuss this text, go through this text. Okay, I will ask them to just analyze this text, and then whether they have a mini whiteboard or a mahjong paper, I will just ask them to list down, or just list down on an A4 paper. Now that I have explored with them, then I will do the explanation. Okay, so this is what you have found. This is what we have discussed. So then we will go discussing this text. Now, done with the discussion, normally my lesson, I would ask my students to do in-class writing activity. So the in-class writing activity, especially in this era, like starting 2022, I would say, I do a lot of in-class writing activity, because this is the time when they do, be it they do it in groups or they do it in pairs. This is the time I can really assess my students while they are doing their work, what is their proficiency level. Because if I give them homework, many students tend to, you know what they will do. Okay, they tend to use AI tools to just generate essays. They will submit essays to you, and it will just look too perfect to believe. Right? So at this point of time, I do a lot of this in-class activity, which I will also share later. Okay, I've done something recently as well. Okay, so so what happened is this is their end products. So what happened is, once they're done with this end product, okay, okay, this is obviously from one of the good classes. I don't want to show the not so good ones. Okay, so what happened is, I will ask these students to leave this work on the table. So I would ask them, so if I say I have 8 groups, okay, each group, this one is peer assessment, yeah, this is peer assessment, yeah. So what I would ask them to do is, I have no post-it notes. So if there are 6 groups, I would ask them to take 6 post-it note papers, okay. So I will have a whistle, okay. I will blow the whistle, the students move clockwise in the classroom. The students move clockwise, meaning to say group A moves to B, B moves to C, C moves to D, D moves to E, E moves to F, F comes to A. So they move. Okay. So once I blow the whistle, I time. Okay, I'll time 2 to 3 minutes per group. So I want them to read the friends' essays. Once they finish reading the friends' essays, I want them to give them probably 2 stars, 1 wishes, 3 stars, 1 wishes, meaning to say 2 stars means what are the 2 things good about your friend's essay. 1 thing that you wish that they could improve. These are the simple things. I think many of you would have known about this. Okay, and sometimes I would also ask them to just point out politely what grammatical errors they have made. Okay, politely point out. Okay, just point out, okay, this one should be written as what? Okay, just politely point out. Okay, so this continues. So meaning to say they move from all the group like 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes until like group A reaches finally to group A table. Okay, when you do it like this, it's very organized. Your class won't be that noisy. Your students won't be running helter-skelter from one group to another group, do not know where to move. Okay, and this one requires a lot of training. If you are doing with your Form 1 or Form 2, The first time you're doing it, you are going to have headache. Trust me. Because even with my Form 4, Form 5, to train my girls, I'm teaching in a girls' school, okay? Okay, and I'm sure you all have this image of a girls' school, like when you hear Methodist girls' school, the girls are all very polite, listening to instruction, okay, very well mannered, okay, or very prim and proper. Okay, trust me, in reality, no. Okay, we are there, we know how they are. And if you are from girls' school, you know how the girls are in girls' school, okay? So difficult to listen to instruction. And this kind of instruction, you have to do it repeatedly, meaning to say you do it in one lesson, the student didn't understand the instruction that much. But once you do 2 or 3 times, you continue doing this activity repeatedly. By the time you do it for the third time, you will have it very easily because the students already know the rules. They know where to walk, how to walk, what to do. Okay, that is why you need to do. But then you do not do every writing activity. You do it like this because students will get bored. So, like for me, I'm teaching if I'm teaching a Form 4 class, I will teach that class for 2 years. Meaning to say, I'll be teaching the graduating batch until they complete Form 5. So Form 4, when they come in, I will introduce all these activities one by one, by one, by one, by one. So by the time when I repeat these activities for the second term or the second round, they already know the rules. So meaning to say, when I say, okay, I'm going to do we are going to do gallery walk today. You know how we are going to do. So the moment they see me taking out my whistle, oh, they know how to move about. Okay, so that is why you have to do it repeatedly a few times and give them instruction clearly for this activity so that the students know how they would go about. Okay, this one helps you in class control. This one also helps you in giving feedback, peer assessment, peer assessment. And of course, after the students finish evaluating their friend's essay, it's your turn. Ask the students to put this work on the mini whiteboard and see what their comments. And you as a teacher, you can pick a few and say which one you agree with, which one you disagree with. Now, if you do not know, if you have issues with students overcorrecting their friends, or meaning to say there are too many correction, or if you feel that you're teaching a very weak class, that there might be too many corrections that to be done, you just focus on one minor thing. For example, if you're teaching very weak class, I'm sure they would make a lot of spelling errors. Okay, so just ask the students to take a red marker and circle all the spelling errors only. So that would make things easier because you're correcting the spelling in the essay. Even when I mark my students' essay, when I assess my students' essays, I will not correct everything. I will not correct everything. I will die. I'm teaching 5 classes. I'm teaching 5 classes, and each class I have 25, 25, 25, 25, 30 students, and I give them essay every alternate weeks. Okay, I give them writing assignment every alternate weeks. So it's taxing. I don't mark everything. So for example, if when they submit to me this block, the only thing I will focus is the use of simple present tense. Okay, I will just focus on the use of simple present tense and spelling. That's it. Other things I will not focus. Other errors I will not focus. Okay, because too many errors, you focus on too many errors, students also don't understand why there are so many errors. Now, if you want to focus on other errors, you go to the next unit, you see what grammatical elements is focused in that unit. So when you write the essay, you focus on that particular unit. Because if you see the textbook that we are using now, unit 1, the grammar, they learn simple present tense and present continuous tense. Vocabulary, they learn words associated with social media and websites and web pages. Then they go to writing. Writing, web page, creating a web page. And I just show you the sample. It's Ahmad's web page. And they have to come out with a web page like this. So it's basically continuing with one another. Okay, so that makes easy for me. Okay, so that's when I do assessment for my students. This is how I assess. I do not go through everything. I don't mark everything. Even if my principal or any JPN officers, any superiors come and ask me why you didn't correct this part, I would just point out, actually, for this essay, if you notice, whatever that I have circled are spelling errors. So for this particular essay, I only focus on spelling errors. And then I show them the next essay. So if you ask me a correction for this one, right? Correction for this, I focused on this essay, you see here. Okay, so then they would understand. So this is how I do correction in my classroom. Okay? Okay, so this is example. I integrate Canva. So I ask my students. This one is a pre-ChatGPT period. This is an example of a work from pre-ChatGPT period. Okay. post the current one, or the essays all look amazing. I ask them to do web page, or it will be amazing. This, if you see, this one got quite a number of grammatical errors and so on. These are pre-ChatGPT era, yeah. This one handmade one. Okay, this one also online. Okay, so this is basically what I do. Okay, one example. Another example here is, okay, this one factual essay, like for example, a textbook lesson writing about pros and cons of team sport. So what I do is normally I'll prepare, I will discuss, okay, then I will ask them to sit in group, and then I will give them a task sheet, like if you see in the uh, screen here, the task sheet that I created. So what I will ask them to do is I ask them to do in group. Now, you see when they're doing it in group, when they're doing this task, that is the time when you walk around and you assess them, see how they're doing it. You walk from group to group, just do a minor assessment. Okay, when you do that, give them group work. Okay, it doesn't mean that it's a free period for us. No, we just walk around. We are not monitoring, but we are assessing them. So like, for example, like me, I will tell my students, you see, actually when I'm walking around, I'm assessing your work, what you're doing with your group. Okay, because this is your classroom-based assessment, how you are speaking, how you are contributing ideas, whether you can contribute ideas, can you find details. Okay, when you just walk 1 or 2 rounds, you know how much each student is contributing, who's being passive, who is not contributing, who has no idea, who is pretending to answer. You will be able to notice, especially in a class 30 and below. Okay, my classrooms, maximum 30 students. I'm fortunate enough not to teach classrooms like 45 to 50 students. There are many schools in Malaysia with 50 students in one classroom, yeah. Okay, 50 students in one classroom, I want to do group activities like this. No, I have to refer to a lot of teaching large classroom strategies. Okay, this one I incorporate in classroom small group strategies for classroom activities. Okay, so these are the things. So I take from ideas from textbook, I design my own worksheet, and then while they're doing the task, and also I ask them to come out with things like this. Okay, before they write. Okay, they have a sample here, but then they have to write on TeamSpot. Okay, they have a sample on ebook. Okay, so they have to write on TeamSpot. Okay, so these are some example of my students' work. Okay, they write the outline first. They create the outline first. From the outline, then they write their essays. Okay, this outline normally I would ask the students to. Now, if you see this classroom, they are all showing their outlines, because I gave them one paper. I asked them to do it individually. So once they have done individually, they group up or they pair up, they just share their ideas with their friends, and then their friends would actually write it down here also, in this task sheet or something similar to this. Okay? Okay, now, how do you do writing for low proficiency learners? Now, for low proficiency learners, it's a bit difficult, especially like in my case, it's very difficult for my low proficiency students to write essay independently, because I have students in my classroom who, not many, like I have about like 6 or 7 of them. Like this year, not many. Last year I had quite a number. This year I had about 3 to 4. Okay, 3 to 4, small group. But the entire class is considered a weak class, but these 3 or 4 students, they are a little bit weaker because they can't construct sentences on their own. And a few times I noticed that they don't write on their own, but they rely on their friend to give them ideas. Okay, so for very low proficiency learners who are unable to write, scaffolding and samples are crucial. Not only scaffolding and samples, even mind map also is not so helpful for very weak students. So what I would do is, for my very weak students, okay, this is what I would prepare for them. I would prepare a template. Okay, this template is for this essay. Okay, the person I admire the most is my uncle. Okay, this is writing about a description about a person. Okay, writing about a person you admire. So normally for the weak students, I would expect them to like write only, do not write more than 100 words, because the word limit here is, the maximum word limit for the SPM level is 250. If very good students, I would encourage them to write more, but the weak ones, I would say If it's 250, you just write up to 250. For this type of essay, it's 120. This is considered guided writing. So guided writing is 120, extended writing is 250. So for guided writing, I would just ask them to write about 120 words. So first, I would give them like this, a template like this. Okay, so they have to use simple present tense and present continuous tense. This one also, they will make mistakes. Okay, this one also, they will make mistakes. And then after they write this, then I would say, okay, sentence 1, 2, and 3, you rewrite as one paragraph. Sentence 3, 4, 5, you rewrite as paragraph 2. Sentence 6 and 7, you write as paragraph 3. Okay, so you have gotten 3 paragraphs. So for the weaker class, this is how I design the activity. So I have quite a number of templates like this. And these templates are a mirror of this, okay, but a simplified version of this sample. Because for weak students, when they read sample, you want to give them activity, and the activity must be exactly like what they have read, you know. If you tweak a little, their mind will be like, oh, I cannot do. This one are the extreme weak students I'm talking about, yeah. So I use templates like this. So if you have like quite good students, okay, but intermediate level who needs improvement in terms of writing sentences, this is something that you can think about. You can improvise. It's not filling in the blanks. This is a writing template, and this writing template you can design on your own based on the writing activities that you want to do. Okay, you can also design a writing a template like this for good students by asking them to adding more details, like if writing narrative, asking them to, for example, I was walking alone on at the jungle. I was walking alone in a forest on Saturday afternoon. Then, full stop. Then I would ask them to put in bracket. I say describe the forest. I would tell them. Then they will describe the forest there. And then following what they need to write. So you see, that is for the good student. Because the good student, I expect them to use the descriptive words. Okay. And then I would say, explain how you felt. Okay, so that is when I put all these brackets for the good students. So you can use it, but for weak students, this is most effective way of doing it. Ask them to fill in this template, and from this template, they can actually write their essays. All right. Okay, so this is so this is a narrative writing. Yeah, I did with one of my classes. Okay. So when I did this essay, they are required to fulfill certain things, meaning to say, when you're writing narrative, you need to use descriptive words, you need to use double emphasis, you need to have direct speech, you need to have exclamation mark if you are shouting or yelling. So all these things that you need to put in. So what I ask the students to do is, first, I would ask them to do this task. Okay. Actually, I printed out, wait, do I have it here? No, okay. So what happened is I actually retype this whole essay here, and then I give it to the students, and then I ask them to fulfill this. Okay, use a red pen to underline all the past tense forms in the story. Okay, circle all the linking words or phrases. Write the triple emphasis used in the story. Write interesting vocabulary used in the story. If no, leave this part empty. What do you like about the essay? Okay, so this is basically an outline that I have asked the students to do for this task. Okay, for this task. After that, after they have identified all this, so this is what I discussed with them. Okay, these are the language portions in the story that you need to focus on. Okay, then we will explore on the use of triple emphasis, and then we look into the vocabulary that can be used. Then the students write their essays. Okay, like for example, based on the story that you have read, you are required to write a story of your own. Try answering the questions below to develop ideas for your writing task. So what the genre is similar. It's a thriller, okay, or something horror story, something like that. All right. So or a mystery. So first they explore the sample essay. Okay, fill in this. Okay, then once they are done with the sample essays, they are supposed to write their own essay. But before they write their own essay, they're supposed to explain when did it happen, who was with Susan, what had they been doing, what happened. Okay, so I give them the plot. one of the friend was injured while trekking in the jungle. They were lost somewhere, or they have their own idea. They can suggest their own idea. Now, what happened here is once they have done with the outline here, when did it happen? All this before they write their own essay, they should come and present to me and explain to me what they are going to write about. Okay, in their story. Okay, so when I approve, then only they will write their essays. Okay, so this one is my scaffolding activity, and this is kind of for an intermediate or a little bit higher level student. They can handle these activities, or good student, they can handle this activity. Okay, the reason I'm doing this activity because I want my students to know first what kind of language element that they need to use. For example, direct speech. They need to understand the difference between the linking words and phrases. Our linking words used in a narrative is different with the linking words used in factual essays. So they need to understand this. And the sentence structure used in a narrative is different compared to sentence structure when you write a factual essay. So that is why they need to explore the sample essay here. Once they're done with this, okay, then only they will do this activity and then circle the vocabulary that you want to use in your essay. So some of them, they will circle everything. They say, teacher, I'm going to use all the 9 vocabulary. I say, yeah, go ahead. But then after halfway writing, they say, teacher, can I just use 2? Okay, they will just say, teacher, can I just use 3? I say, now you know, right? Okay, so I just say, pick only what you can afford to write. Okay, and if you want to try something new, okay, these are the new vocabulary that I introduced for them, okay, especially for the lower intermediate. So they would explore using this vocabulary. Okay, this is a writing project that I did. Okay, these are free writing projects I did with my students. The best one is this, 10 ways to kill your English teacher. This is a free writing activity. So they come up with ideas of how to kill me. Okay. Okay, yeah, this is another one, 10 ways to kill your my English teacher. Okay, some of they give chocolates to him as a present for every class. Okay, they didn't put anything nasty lah. Okay, celebrate his birthday, be extremely focused when he's teaching, kill him with kindness. Literally trying to come up with some ideas. Okay. Okay, so I have another set to share with.
While Dr. Mohan is looking at finding his slides, any questions from the audience?
Yeah, if you have any questions, yeah, please do ask.
Just raise your hand and just unmute yourself. Yes, Dr. Surya, go ahead.
Yeah, I do have questions. Are you taking questions now, Dr. Mohan, or later?
I can take questions now, no worries.
Okay, but mine is quite general though, because this is really great sharing. You're sharing a lot of strategies, a lot of materials that you created, right? So I have 2 questions. You can address it now, address now or later. My first question is, how long do you actually spend preparing for the materials? And the second one is, okay, this is quite important, right? What advice would you give to those who have this misunderstanding or misconception that authentic assessment or assessment for learning should be something extravagant and very elaborate, not, because I think the ones that you are showing us, these are very practical strategies within our means and sustainable strategies as well. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, first of all, please, for this, I know most of you are the younger generation teachers. Please do not ask suggestions from ChatGPT to give you classroom suggestions for classroom strategies. Okay, I'm going to share with you some materials. If you can find online, okay, if they are available online, you can find online. These are some books that I bought when I started teaching at the very beginning of my career, which I still refer to. This is one, Writing Games from Longman. I do not know. These books are not in the market anymore. One book, Longman Writing Games. A lot of my writing games, I didn't pick 100% from here, but I take and adapt from here. One of these, and then also another one from Longman, also Reading Games. Okay, and if you can go and find this Time Saver photocopiable English language teaching materials. Okay, these are available freely online. If I think so, because I downloaded from online, and then I printed out. They have a lot of newspaper articles, and these are all the UK-based newspaper articles, which you can actually like simplify, okay, or change it to, okay, what you can do is just take a picture of it, ask ChatGPT to put it, change the context to Malaysian context. So ChatGPT will give you a beautiful text from there. And then you can adjust it, adjust the activities from here. So this is time savers, newspaper articles to get teenagers talking. Another one that I really use until now is 700 classroom activities. Okay, so what I do is I do a lot of reading and researching. Okay, I do a lot of reading and researching. I have all these are my materials that I've been keeping like for about like I've been teaching for 21 years. So these are the materials that I refer to. So I'm not going to tell that whatever that I do in my classroom is authentically from me. No, they are all have been modified from my classroom, from all these books that I've read. So there are many more. Also, I refer to this. This is a very old book. I think the person, I do not know whether the person is still alive or not. ELT methodology principle. I think Nottingham University's library, you have this. I've seen this once. Okay, the author is Nesamala Chitravelu. Okay, this one also I refer to once in a while. If sometimes you do activities in classroom, you continue to do other activities, you may forget all the good old activities that I did a long time ago. So then I when I'm lost of idea, I just come and look at these books again. I just open and think, oh, I've done this before. Oh, I forgot I can actually do this again in this class for this text. So that's how I have all my resources printed out. Okay, if you can find some ebooks, on these old books, go and get these books. Go and get these books. These are really good books, and when you read these books will be very helpful for you to design your own classroom activities and would help you to actually go about your classroom activities. Okay, and you would understand better because these books, okay, I would tell you these old readers lah, because these readers here, like these reading games, Longman reading games, the authors are all ESL lecturers, okay, or ESL lecturers, ESL expert teachers, okay. So what they do is when they design these activities, they actually have a sense of purpose on what language element they want to develop, and that's when from reading these books is where I learned that when you do classroom activities, your focus is on development of the language, not just doing the activities, students having fun, running around. No. So you know the purpose. You learn that when you design activities, interesting activities, you have a purpose of doing this activity. You know, okay? And when you see your students are doing it, you understand, oh, okay, actually this part of language element is being developed here. So that is why these good old books are very precious for me. So this is where my resources come from. This is where my ideas come from. Okay, I don't refer to online. Yes, I've tried to refer to all these AI tools. I am in fact now using quite a number of AI tools for my classroom lessons. Okay, I integrate AI tools, but I still go back to these books to see what are the things that I can use for my classroom activities besides having these AI tools in the classroom. All right, now what I'm going to share here next. Okay, now this one I've done. Okay. Now, this is one activity that I'm going to share you how I do my speaking skills. Okay, if you see the picture here, the first picture, I have 3 cards. One is, this is what we call the talking chips. Okay, you see, my class, my school, MGS, okay, we are cluster school for English language, but not all our students are very proficient in English language speaking. Many of them, as I said, they don't want to speak on their own, okay? And some of them, a number of them are from Chinese schools, a number of them from Tamil schools, okay? And you know what happened is when you have Chinese schools and Tamil schools, and then the primary MGS girls, okay? And when they are all grouped in one class, they have their own groups, okay? And then they do not want to speak in English, okay? Although the school rule says that you have to speak either BM or English, those students from Tamil and Chinese school, they are very, very much comfortable with their own mother tongue. Okay, so when I do speaking activities in the classroom, my speaking activities are in-class speaking activity. You see, what happened is, it's very difficult to monitor 30 students, okay, doing speaking activities simultaneously. And I can't do speaking activity, calling one by one. Okay, you speak now for 2 minutes. I set timer. Okay, you speak now for 2 minutes. I set timer. You speak now for 2 minutes. I set timer. Imagine 60 minutes. 1 hour lesson. I call one by one just to speak for 2 minutes. It's not practical, right? And it's boring, right? And if my lecturer were to come and observe me, I tell them, okay, I'm doing a speaking lesson. My lecturer is going to get angry, isn't it? So what I do is I create these speaking chips. Okay, the pink one says asking a question. The blue one says give an opinion. I think the yellow one says give an respond to a statement. The yellow one is respond to a statement. The yellow is giving an opinion. The blue one is respond to a statement. So what happened is I have these speaking tips a lot. So each group I will give, like for example, each student take 5 pink card, 5 blue card, 5 yellow card. So what happened is I give them a topic in the textbook. Okay, for example, I did this. When I did this, I gave them a topic. This is after doing all the scaffolding, after doing telling them how to respond appropriately, after I've done my own demonstration in the class, after showing to them the examples of speaking scripts, how to speak, how to respond, how to ask questions, all this I've explained to them. All this they have done a little bit of practice individually or pair work. So you start from A, you explain to them, you give them the topic, you teach them how to ask questions, you teach them how to respond to a statement, you teach them how to give opinion. In my opinion, I think, you don't say in my opinion, I think together. All these have been discussed, all these have been told them. They have practiced a little bit, okay, with their partner. So after I've done with all the scaffolding, this is when the assessment part comes in. So what I do is, I give each student sometimes I give 4, sometimes I give 5. Okay, each student get 5 yellow, 5 blue, 5 pink. So they are in a group of 4. So what happens is I give them a topic. For example, the topic is how to make and maintain friendship. Okay, that is unit 1 from 5. Yeah, how to make and maintain friendship. So they need to use the speaking chips to speak. For example, the first student give an opinion. Okay, for example, let's say she says, okay, in my opinion, one way to make friend is be friendly and always smile. Okay, so you take the yellow card, okay, and then you put in the middle. You have given your opinion. So your card is running out, going out there. So you have given opinion. So you have said something. Then you cannot like continuously give opinion. Okay, I have 9 cards. I'm going to speak 9 times. A, B, C, D, no. You have spoken once. You have to wait for any other students in the group to respond. Okay, any other students in the group to respond. For example, so maybe I do not know how to respond. I just ask question. So any one of you think that whatever that she says is right by just smiling and being friendly, you can make friends. So you put a question there. Okay, then another person must give might give his response. Yeah, I think what she says is right. She is actually saying the right thing by saying that, yeah, you are friendly and smart, people like you, so you can get many friends. And when you're friendly, it's easy for you to maintain friendship in times of conflict. So she gives a response. So this is how the discussion continues. So when the discussion continues, the teacher walks around and see who is speaking and who is speaking more, who is speaking less. Okay, and you can see the as the number of cards they put out. Okay, you can actually see how many of them are responding. So the students will be pressured. Okay, they have to speak. Okay, so what I do is I will pair them with a mixed group. It's not everybody smart in the group, everybody weak in the group. No, I will have the good one good one there, one intermediate one there, one weak one there. If all good students, then there's no problem. But my class, I have a mixture, so I'll mix them up. So the good one, normally the good one, I say, okay, you just wait, don't rush. Okay, like I have one student, she's Hireka, she's very smart, and she's a debater. I say, Hireka, don't go smart, don't go fast, slow. You wait for you have to wait for all the other 3 have finished speaking, only then you can respond again. Or else this Hireka, after student B respond, she will respond. Then after student C respond, she will say something. After student D respond, she will say something again, and she finish all the card. And the other 3 students will continue the discussion. She will be saying, okay, I'm done. These are the constraints that might happen that you have to put a stop. So you need to have your classroom rules there. Okay, so this activity I have done quite a number of times. It works. Okay, or sometimes what I will do is each group I'll put 20 yellow. In the middle I'll put 20 yellow, 20 blue, and 20 pink. Okay, so if you are giving an opinion, you take a yellow card and then you put on your side and then you give your opinion. And then if you're going to ask question, you just take a pink card and then you take and keep it with you. Okay, when you do this, you know who is the one who is asking a lot of questions in the group. And if you see the student has only many yellow cards, you know that girl is very opinionated. She's only giving opinions. She's not even responding to the friend statement, or she's not even asking questions. She's just giving opinion. So you know that some of the students are just giving opinion, but they are not asking questions. So I tell them at the end of the activity, you should have collected equal number of colors. Like you must have like at least 4 to 5 red, 4 to 5 blue, or 4 to 5 yellow. Okay, so this is another way of doing it. So this is one I do for my speaking activity lah. So this is using speaking chips. So you do not actually have to use this ask a question, respond to a statement, or give an opinion. You can modify it, what you want the students to respond to, how you want the students to respond. You can just actually modify this. Okay, so this is another way of assessing speaking skills. Okay, let me just share with you this video. How to have the sound. Okay, I will just mute mine here first. Okay, let us just watch this activity and I'll explain to you how to do this. No sound. Never mind, just watch first. Okay, so sorry. Okay, sorry, I do not. Wait.
Okay, so while Dr. Mon is figuring out the technical difficulties, maybe
Okay,
we
can you
can
hear
ask.
me?
Oh yes, we can hear you.
Any questions? Any more questions?
Yeah, we can ask questions. Maybe Hanwan, do you want to go first? Oh, Dr. Zipeng.
Okay, Dr. Wong can go first.
To play the sound, right? If you can see, it includes sound.
Dr. Wong, we can't hear you.
You can't hear me? Can you hear me? No.
Not very clear.
Okay.
Okay, Calvin, you want to go next?
Just now I think Hanwon wanted to ask a question. Was it somebody else want to ask? Maybe I'll let them ask the question first.
It's okay,
Because my
you can go
question is
first,
more.
Calvin.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
My question is slightly out of the realm of just teaching and more on the scope of education. And I think my question has to do with assessments in the Malaysian public school system. And so I've been to the PSLE system, or the Singaporean education system, where it's very rigorous. So they have their PSLE, which is their primary school exam, O levels, then A levels. So many different high stakes examinations to be in IB school that has more of like school based assessments, and also they have the IB exams. But the IB exams have a lot of project-based activities and tasks for them to fulfill to get their credits. So my question for you is more on your opinion of Malaysia, because from what I see in the public school system, it seems like Malaysia is leaning into the middle ground where they have still some high stakes exams, but they are trying to explore more opportunities of school-based exams and project-based learning. And my question is, do you think what are your thoughts about where Malaysia is in terms of academic rigor and how they express that rigor? And do you think that there are any changes that could be done to improve the system in terms of assessments? Yeah, that's my question.
Okay, thank you, Kevin, for the question. Yeah, just like what you said, yeah, Malaysia public education system, we are still in the middle ground, like what you said. Yeah, very true. As I said, our Malaysian curriculum has been like we revamped the curriculum in 2015. And right now, particularly the English language curriculum is on the right track. We are on the right track, but yeah, we do not have high stakes exams. Like the only high stakes exam we have right now is the SPM examination. SPM examination and Form 3 examination used to be like the PT3 or the PMR examination. That they used to be public examination, but now they are school-based exams. School-based exam means the rubrics are given by the ministry. The sample formats are given by the ministry. The school teachers, we decide on the questions. We come up with the question. We create the questions. Same, we do not have the primary school examination, year-end examination. We don't have as well because, like you see, we are agents, and we what happened is. The reason the ministry are doing away with the Form 3 and the Year 6 examination, one reason is because once you have the exam, the entire school will change into an exam-based practice. Meaning to say nobody wants to do explore all the other options to develop language proficiency. So although we already have project-based learning in our curriculum, the teachers won't be doing it. They will be focusing on grades. That is why the ministry do not want the ranking system. They do not want to have the schools rankings, everything. They do not want to show because everybody in Malaysia, particularly, we are chasing towards that. Every school is chasing towards that to improve their results and so on. That is why the public examination is only the SPM examination for now in Form 5. We do not have the Form 3 examination, we do not have, and then the Year 6 examination, we do not have. And yeah, talking about in Singapore, you have projects that you have to do, and then you get the extra marks for that. Some subjects, yes, they do have projects like that. Okay, not all the subjects. In English language or English language subjects, we already have project-based learning, but project-based learning, we are not doing it as part of the assessment. Project-based learning is just as part of an exploration after they have completed the entire syllabus towards the end of the year. So we have extra 4 to 5 weeks to do project-based learning activities based on whatever that we have explored throughout the year. And these project-based learning activities now, the government encourage us to have the STEM projects or the STEAM project, meaning to say you integrate science, language, and culture. All these things you try to integrate and come up with projects. So that's what we are trying to do. And as for Singapore, I'm sure Singapore is far ahead Malaysia in terms of this assessment, assessment and so on. And Malaysia, we are still trying to figure out how to go about it. And the new curriculum, which is going to be implemented in 2027, has also looked into it. But unfortunately, I can't share much about it because it's still kindly considered confidential. Okay, and it has also looked into school-based assessment in the new curriculum, how we are going to go about the school-based assessment, okay, in the new curriculum, so that we are more clear on what is expected of us. Like earlier, we had a lot of blunders when we started with the school-based assessment, like the PBS, we call that Pentaksiran Berdasarkan Sekolah. We had a lot of different types of assessment, which was misunderstood by a lot of people, and right now we are trying to figure out how actually to improvise this. Okay, so I hope, Calvin, I have answered your question. My thought is we have a lot of to improve in our curriculum. Okay, we have a lot of things to improve in our curriculum, but for me, the English language curriculum, we are on the right direction and we are continuously improving for betterment. All right. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes.
Sorry, just to add a little bit onto that. No, I'm not saying that the Singaporean system is better. I'm in fact saying the opposite because the Singaporean public school system is quite antiquated. They don't have any project-based learning actually. Very seldom they have. But in my current international school, they have a lot of project-based stuff because it's an international school and they follow the IB syllabus. But I just have one more quick question, just one quick question. It's like, um, there's a lot of not to say controversy but some concern with parents regarding the abolishment of some of the high stakes exams. So what do you have to say to these parents who are very concerned that their child is not exposed to that kind of very high risk, high stakes examinations?
Okay, thank you, Kevin. Yeah, in fact, let me respond to you on the PBL first. I was introduced to PBL, although I had some knowledge on PBL earlier. When I went to US, I went to these middle schools and high schools there, and I went for their PBL exhibitions and see how they did their PBL and so on. That's where I got my inspiration to start my own PBL projects in the school, which I will share with you all later. So yeah, and I could see that PBL is actually very helpful in developing students' language proficiency for English language, I would say, and also for other subjects because they get to do hands-on exploration. Okay, they get to do experiments and so on. Okay, and the next thing about parents. Okay, in Malaysia, as I said, from the public examination, we have moved into school-based assessment. Okay, and right now, if you see the school-based assessment, we have one year-end examination. We have 1 year-end examination, and we also have and this is given every year, and we also have one on the classroom-based assessment. So we give them 2 results. Okay, one is school-based assessment where we do the summative assessment or the examination twice a year. Okay, the mid-year and the year-end examination. And we also give them the assessment throughout the semester, what happens in the classroom throughout the semester, how the students have excelled. And in my environment, normally these two goes hand in hand, especially except for some special cases lah. For example, if the student's classroom-based assessment or the classroom performance is good, the examination result is also good. Okay, normally. Okay. And if it's poor classroom-based assessment, the examination result is also poor. Now, what happens with parents is parents refuse to trust these school-based exams. Okay, and parents do not even understand what this school-based assessment is. Like, for example, we give them bands. Okay, band 4, band 5, band 6, and we even had sessions through our PTA organization. We tried to call parents. We called parents. Okay, I told my principal, let's call the parents. Let us give them talk on how to look at the assessments, how to look at the school-based assessment, so that they understand that this assessment is actually enough. You do not need to actually look for a special public examination. But what happened is, guess how many parents turn up? Okay, I have like about 1,000 students in my school. Not even 50 students turn up for that particular session. Okay, so the thing is, parents' lack of understanding of how this school-based assessment work. Okay, I admit that in some schools, some places, the assessment may not be very transparent. But in my case, in my school, or most schools like mine, if you see the urban schools like MGS, like in Ipoh, we have quite a number of urban schools. Like my school, we have to be very transparent with exam. And we also have to be very transparent with the classroom-based assessment, because we have parents who are very rich, we have parents who are doctors or lawyers, who are going to come and ask us, okay, why my kid get a band 4 for English when for speaking, when she can speak very well? She's supposed to get a band 6. So I have to explain, yeah, your kid can, your daughter can speak very well, but she can't speak on the topics given. She can't speak on environment, a simple topic on environment. She cannot express herself well. Yeah, she can speak, but she did not fulfill the criteria that she needs to achieve band 5 and 6 throughout the semester. And it's not only on one topic, it's continuous assessment. So we have our assessments school-based, and we have our exams at school level. It's just a matter of parents trusting this examination. Okay, whether they can look at the exam papers and everything, but the parents refuse to trust these papers. They believe that there are teacher biasness. They just do not want to accept this. They still insist on public examination now. Even in the public examination, the kid is going to get the same results, even if they are not focused. So if parents are insisting on having examination, I think for Form 3 and Year 6, the year-end examination, the mid-year and year-end examination is enough to show where the children are. So this is where the parents need to understand. Also, they need to understand the school-based assessment. So we are doing these two assessments, at school level for year 1 to year 6 and Form 1 to Form 5. Even the Form 5 students, they have the SPM examination from 1 to Form 5 every year. Twice, mid-year, we are giving them, every school is giving them, because that's the circular. We're giving them the results of classroom-based assessment and also the examination results. So I think this is enough. It's just the matter of parents need to understand this. Okay, parents need to understand this. Parents need to educate themselves on this kind of things. All right, so yeah, I think that's my that's what I think. That's what I think about this having this public examination for Form 3 and Year 6, because we are already doing it at school level. The parents can actually just look at the school level examination and assess where the child stands. That's it. Yeah. Like for my school, I can speak for my school and many schools in our district or state. Yes, Kelvin, anything else?
No, nothing else. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay. Any more questions?
Hanman, do you want to go next?
Oh yeah, sure. Okay, so thank you for sharing, Dr. Mohana. I have a very beginner question. It's related to your gallery walk error correction one. I'm teaching, for context, I'm teaching Form 1 EAL students. So most of them are also international. I like your idea of, if they have too many errors, maybe we focus on one part. Let's say this time focus on spelling, next time punctuation. But would you mind expanding on how would you do a follow-up activity? Let's say my students, we make a lot of mistakes, and it would take forever for us to correct every single bit of the errors. Is there a more efficient way, or what would you do after the first round? I say first round is spelling, second round, what would you do? And then how would you guide or scaffold the students as saying, okay, you have grammar, you have punctuation, you have spelling mistakes. So if you see all these errors, how would you arrange it and execute it?
Okay, so for me, what I would do is one activity that I remember of doing is, okay, identify all these errors that the student made. I will write a similar essay with all the same errors that the students have done, all the same errors, with all the errors, with the spelling errors and everything, as many errors as I can. On that particular aspect of, for example, if I'm teaching simple present tense and everything, so I'll just mix up all the past tense form, everything in the essay. Then I will give it to them, ask them to do pair work or group work. I will ask them to do correction. I will ask them to identify the errors in the essay and correct the essay. So from there, you would know whether they have understood whatever mistakes that they have made earlier in the previous essays that they have done. Okay. Another thing, overall errors. Okay, overall errors. What I will look at is the overall. Looking at the overall errors, I would always do this process-based approach. Okay, and this is towards at the end of every unit, meaning to say, when the students finish one essay at the end of one unit, meaning to say they have learned everything. So there's one essay for the end of that one unit that I will mark thoroughly. So when after I mark thoroughly, I return to them. I ask them to write this essay again, improvise all these errors, and send it back to me. Okay, this is the only part that is taxing. So this process-based approach, I will do it either twice or 3 times, improving the error. The first time is very difficult because a lot of errors. The second time, after they have corrected the errors, okay, there will be lesser errors. So normally, when there are lesser errors, I will just close my eyes. I won't ask them to write for the third time. But now, with the integration of AI, things have been made easier. So what I've done is, like, recently, I've just bought smartphones for my classroom. You see, I have like students, I have a maximum number of students in my class is 28 students. So I see with this AI digital thing is taking a center role in education. So I've decided to have smartphones. Unfortunately, we only have one computer lab, and I can't be taking my students to computer lab all the time. And getting tab is just too expensive. So what happened is I just bought about seven smartphones, and then I have my own old iPad, one old iPad, and my mother's old telephone. So I have about eight gadgets. So it's enough for each group. So what I do is, once they make errors, I ask them to go and check for correction from their own essays. I give them a template. They write their essays first with errors. Then I give them the smartphone. I ask them to go and check whether your essay is correct or not. I ask them to type this essay back in grammar checker and identify what their errors are and how to rewrite the essay. So this is making things easier for me. But the thing is, my writing lessons take 1 hour 30 minutes because I have each class I have 1 hour 30 minutes. Within 1 hour 30 minutes, I would be able to finish because the first 30 minutes, I will ask them to write on their own. Second 30 minutes, I will ask them to do the checking on AI or any online tools. I ask them to check and then correct the errors. The third 30 minutes, they return the gadget to me, they write the essay on their own. So this one helps to minimize the errors with the help of AI. It's not like they're relying entirely on AI. Even after they have already get the correction from the AI, you know, even if you use Grammar Checker and ChatGPT, they are quite, they have a very uniform style of doing it. And there are some parts that I do not want my students to follow that. So I would tell them, no, you don't write like this. So this is one way of me overcoming the corrections that they do, the errors that they do in essay writing. Now with AI, as I have introduced smartphones in classroom, things have been much easier, especially in terms of checking essays. So if you have like if you are teaching international school, I'm sure it would be even much easier for you if your students have access to the internet and gadgets so that they can do self-checking, or even better, instead of them checking their essays and suggesting improvement, they can do a pair checking. What is wrong in their essay? You can give it to them, ask them to exchange the papers, you give each of them a smartphone, ask them to check the errors. That is another way of doing it. Okay, all right, okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Man. That was, I really like the whole error checking using AI thing. It makes a lot of things easier for kids and also for us. And they learn a lot from that as well. Let's use the resources. I think
I
did
can
not
sleep
cross my
early
mind.
nowadays. I can
Yeah.
sleep earlier nowadays.
Right, that's really good. Okay, can we take one more question from Dr. Wong and then we move on with your next part? Dr. Wong?
I'm not sure if Dr. Wong raised her hand. Oh, okay.
Yes.
No, right. Okay. I think she just wanted to share with Dr. Mohan on how to share the sound.
The
Yeah.
sound. Oh, okay. So good. Okay, now we can then move on to the next part already. Is the sound already affixed, Dr. Mohan? You just need to share the computer sound from the. So when you share your screen, there's a button down there that says
okay.
share computer sound.
Okay.
Yes.
Thanks, Auntie.
Dr. Mohan, we can't hear anything.
Cannot hear?
Yeah, I think just now we could hear. And then now. Yes, we can hear now.
All right, so this is, okay, just give me a second. Okay, this one, I call it as 3-2-1 speaking activity. So what happens here is, during the lesson, when I do my speaking lesson, what I do is first I introduce the topic. Then after that, I ask students a few questions how to check how much they know about the topic, discuss more about the topic. So meaning to say, I will just ask them to give opinion. And this particular lesson I did was on what I did. I did on talking about a family okay, talking about a a relative that you admire. Okay, yeah, a relative or friend you admire. And the second topic was, okay, did you meet your school friends outside? Did you make friends more outside school or in the school? Okay, so these two questions. So basically, okay, let us just focus the first question lah. A friend or a relative that I admire. So what they have to do is, the topic first, I introduce the question. Then we talk about it. We generally talk about it. Ask students to give opinion points, and then what kind of vocabulary that the students can use, and so on. And then the sentence structure that I expect them to speak, and then how they relate one cohesive device to another, how do they relate one idea to another. All these we discuss. I show them the PowerPoint examples of discussion, show them the script, read together silently, all that done. After I've done explaining, after they have done their own practice, they sit in pair and then they practice with their partner first. Okay, I give them time to do practicing. This is the first 30 minutes. Okay, the scaffolding level. So meaning to say introduction of the lesson, introduction to the vocabulary used for the speaking, the structure that they need to use for the speaking. All this explained, discussed, and practiced. Okay, because when you do a lesson, I don't blindly throw the activity to them. Before I start this assessment activity, what I do is I want them to understand what they are expected to do, what they are expected to be developed, meaning to say the vocabulary that they need to develop, the sentence structure that they need to develop. Then, before I start this activity, I put them in pair, I ask them to discuss, I ask them to practice. Okay, done with that, I label them as student A and B. So if you see, in this picture, one side you have student A, another side you have student B. And just now, if you see in the video, student B is doing a lot of action, right? And student A's are just standing. Okay, so what happened here is, the activity is, the first round of activity, 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute. Okay, students will need to talk about the same activity. Now, if you see they are holding a post-it note, each of them, I only give one post-it note. In that post-it note, when I share with them samples of scripts, ideas, when I share ideas with them, when they share idea with their partner, they need to write notes, meaning to say in point forms, or they want to make mind maps, they need to write notes. Okay? But I told them in point forms, 1 word, 2 words, 3 words, no paragraph form. So they don't write paragraph form because I don't give them enough time to do the paragraph writing. I just tell them, okay, I'm going to give you 30 seconds to take points from there. So they have to do very quick writing. So they just scribble whatever they find. Because if you give them longer time, these students, they will just copy everything and then they will just read back that speaking for them. So I do not want to do that. I want to stop that. So I just show for a while, explain, and then I say, okay, 20 seconds for you to write. So that's why they have the post-it note to refer. So first round, I said, okay, so student A, first round, they will just stand, they will just listen. They will just listen to student B. Student B, the same topic, first round, student B speak for 3 minutes. After speaking for 3 minutes, what happened is they change partner, they move to another partner. Okay, only student B move, yeah? They move to another partner and they speak for another 2 minutes, the same topic. They start again and speak for 2 minutes. And then they move to another partner, okay, and the same topic they speak for 1 minute. No, so what happens here is it is a repeated practice of the same topic again and again. And what happened, why I put 3, 2, 1 is the first one, the 3 minutes is very difficult for them to speak. So they giving them time to think, have ideas, they go rather slow. Then 2 minutes, they have already practiced with it for the 3 minutes, the 2 minutes, they will start speaking. And the 1 minute, they will go really fast because they have more ideas already. Now, once done with group B, then what I would say is, okay, now group B, you're supposed to stay quiet. You are going to be listener. And group A, you are going to start talking. The same topic, you start with 3 minutes. Then you go, you change partner, you speak for 2 minutes. Then you change partner to speak for 1 minute. Okay, now this activity is really useful for students who are struggling with speaking. Who are struggling with speaking skills, they are always like, do you want to say something? They always have issues. So first 30 minutes practice. Just practice, scaffold, ask them to practice with their partner. The next 30 minutes is enough 30 minutes because it's 3, 2, 1, 6 minutes. 3, 2, 1, 6 minutes, 12 minutes. And then the other half for you is for you to reflect on what happened, ask the students how they feel, and then wrap up everything. The time will just end. So it's a 1 hour lesson. This activity I have done numerous times. This is very interesting and one of my favorite activities. Okay, one of my favorite activities that I do in my classroom. This is one way to do assessment, but to do assessment for this, it's a little bit difficult because the class is going to be very noisy. But if you have a student of a class of 24, like this one is 24 students, they are standing in a row. So 24 means first 3 rounds, 12 students will be speaking. Next round, another 12 students will be speaking. So when these 12 students are speaking, you see they speak for 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute. So you just walk around and see for 3 minutes, probably you focus on 2 students. For 2 minutes, you focus on another 2 students. And then for 1 minute, you focus on another 1 student. So throughout the time given, when they are speaking, you just walk around them and then see how they are speaking. Okay, and then that's how you can assess students. Another thing is the students themselves are assessors. For example, when student B is speaking, student A is actually assessing. Okay, student A is actually assessing. Now, once student B finished speaking for 3 minutes, you can give them some time for 30 to 40 seconds to student A to tell, okay, now you did not, you actually repeated a few sentences. You actually repeated this. Now, you have to tell the students, focus on listening to your friend, see whether your friend is repeating the cohesive devices or not. So meaning to say you focus on, ask the students who are listening to focus on one simple thing. For example, are they using cohesive devices? Are they using the cohesive devices repeatedly? Because these students, when they speak, they connect ideas and then, after that, they only use the same cohesive devices repeatedly. So you want them to stop doing it. You ask the listeners to focus. Tell your friend, listen to your friend, see whether your friend is repeatedly using the cohesive devices or not. And when they are focusing on the friend, the speakers also will be a little bit conscious to not repeatedly use the cohesive devices. So as I said, focus on all the minor things and tell the listeners to what to focus on. If you just ask the listeners to, okay, listen, see your friend making mistake or not. You see, both of them are of the same language level. They may not know what to look at. They might feel the student is speaking the best English. When she's making all the grammatical errors, the friend may not be able to identify the errors. That is why you focus on ask them to focus on simple mistakes, on the repeated use of cohesive devices, or you can just give specific cohesive devices that you see the students are often using in the classroom. All right, this is one. Okay, this is another one, another card game that I've designed, activity, also a speaking activity to develop fluency. So if you see this, okay, before I show you this activity, I would also like you to watch a video. All right. Okay, if you see, this is a speaking activity where students need to talk in groups of 4. And based on these 4 pictures, okay, you see there are picture A, picture B, picture C, and picture D. And this task requires students to use a specific vocabulary in describing 4 different types of activities or sports here. Okay, like for example, A is playing video game, B is American football, C is bungee jumping, and D is painting. And there are specific vocabulary given in the textbook. So what I did is I decided to play a card game. Okay, so this is the cards that I have prepared. So with all the vocabulary in the box, okay, each card has 1 vocabulary. So if you see the video, if you watched on the video just now, it looks as if the students were gambling, right? That's one part of the speaking activity. So what happened is the speaking activity comes in several rounds, okay, as part of an assessment after after the speaking lesson. Now, if you see throughout the speaking lesson, we explore the 5 questions given in the textbook here. How would you describe the activities shown? Which activity is better for groups and which for individuals? Are any of these activities popular with people your age? These are things that we discuss and do the scaffolding. And then we also discuss this vocabulary, anything that you don't understand, how to make sentences, which vocabulary is related to this, which one is not related to this, which activity, and how can you relate the vocabulary that is not related to this activity by doing comparison. All that we discuss. Now, after that, as part of the assessment, so each students are required to divide the cards in small groups. Then, with the cards that they have, they need to, okay, you can do it in many ways. Okay, so what I've done is, the first one is, I ask them to discuss. For example, I like outdoor activities. Okay, for example, I get the word outdoor. So the student would just put the card in the middle. I like outdoor activity, so I would prefer going for bungee jumping or playing an American football. So then I would pass the baton I would say, okay, student C, what do you think? Then student C needs to respond by continuing the same to the statement that she said. So she needs to take one of the cards that she got, and she said probably she needs to pick one of the cards. She needs to pick one of the cards, and then she say, okay, for example, she got scary. So she would say, oh no, I do not like bungee jumping. I'm sorry to disagree with you. I do not like bungee jumping. For me, it's scary. So I take the word scary and I put in the middle. So they continue the discussion relating to all these 4 components until they use up all the cards. Now, once all the cards are used up, that's the end of the first round. So when they put the cards in the middle, right, now they continue we ask them to mix up the cards. Then I put in the middle. Okay, I put in the middle. So what happened is they pick one by one. Again, they will get different cards this time. So for example, they get, for example, this student now get the card socialize. She doesn't get to pick. She just need to use this card, this word to speak something. So she say, for example, I prefer socializing. So I prefer playing American football, for example. So you need to take the second person need to take another card. And the word is teamwork here. So she has to relate the word teamwork to what the friend earlier said. Yes, I also prefer to play American football because it requires teamwork. And I also like to socialize like you. So you have to use teamwork. So, and once you got the card, you take the card and keep with you. So the game continues. Okay, there are several rounds and several ways to play this. And what you watched just now is Snap. It's the game known as Snap. I'm sure all of you have played the card game Snap, right? So for example, each of you take the cards already. So you give your opinion, socialize. You say one statement with the word socialize relating to any of these sports. You put in the middle, and then anyone can respond and put the card. Okay, and this time you don't have to take turn. You just need to wait for one person to finish to respond, and then you wait for another person to finish, then you can respond immediately. You don't have to take turn. And the person who finishes all the cards first is the winner. Okay, this is just like a game. Okay, playing game. So it has several stages. Okay, several stages of game. So why I did several stages is because it's easy for me to do the assessment, because you see the students are all will be doing speaking activities simultaneously. So I can walk around from table to table. When they do several rounds, I can walk around table to table and do my classroom assessment. Who is actually speaking, who is actually speaking correctly, who is actually making mistakes. And in between, I would also correct them. Okay, and I would also ask the better ones to correct their friends, help to correct their friend, but not overt correction, just simple ones. All right, yes, Miss Ati, are we running out of time?
Yes, we are. We have 5 more minutes.
Okay, right. Okay, so that's one. Okay, so I also use AI for my lessons. Okay, this is one lessons I use for AI. So what I do is, okay, I don't ask my students to write essays. Okay, I normally ask my students to write essays in classroom. So what they have to do is, at home, they need to, I give them the task. Okay, this is the prompt that I give them. I ask them, you go and find essays using whatever tool that you are using to generate essays. Okay, they get all this information. They come back to school, and then I give them a task sheet. Okay, they complete all these task sheet. There are several tasks. Normally, I give them 1 week to complete this task before I do the writing activity. So once they complete this task, they bring this task sheet to school, and that's when I ask them to do the writing activity. So when I do the writing activity in class, they refer to all these notes that they have created. Okay, these are the notes, tasks I give them are all essential for a narrative writing. So they just need to go and find information only. They will just find and copy information. Okay, and they will use this information to write essay. Yeah, but this is the earlier one, before and after lah. Before I use my research-based learning strategies, and this is after using the research-based learning strategies, where this one is actually they go and do research and they come to classroom and then they put together the ideas to write better. Yes, although it involves like going back home and then getting ideas from the ChatGPT. Okay, and then they come back and then they use the notes that they got from ChatGPT. They actually write on their own in the classroom. Okay, they struggle as well. But although this one, a lot of the ideas they took from ChatGPT, but the entire essay comes from them. Okay, they write on their own. And this is not like copying the entire essay from ChatGPT. They just complete this task, and from this task, they write their essay. So, and did I see improvement in classroom? Not only after this research-based learning, but as I continue to use research-based learning, yes, I did notice that my students' essay writing skill has improved tremendously. All right. I think that's about it, lah, Miss Arti. If I share, I think I over-prepared for today's session.
I mean, all teachers, I mean, it's me as well as a teacher, I always overplan things and then only
Yeah.
get to share as much. But thank you so much, Dr. Mohan. We do have questions, but I am going to say that I really like all the insights that is shared from how purposeful everything is and how you have the steps as well. You have the model first and explain, discuss, practice before you go into asking them to do the activity and then assessing them, even having reflections for practices, peer feedback. I think this I mean, it's really insightful and it's very intentional on how you do it. And I really like research-based learning, something that I think I'm going to implement after this because it saves a lot of time thinking about it now.
One more thing just to add. Okay, trust
Yes.
me, when I started doing all this earlier, at the early stage of my career, I really struggled because I do not know how to go about all this. I had to do a lot of research. I had to study a lot. I have to read a lot. I have to go explore a lot before I came up with these ideas. So as young teachers, you have the bigger task to do. What you do need to do before you do is you have to go and research, go and explore and think what are the ideas that are useful and purposeful in your classroom. Yes, that's all, Miss Arti.
Lovely. All right, I'm gonna ask the questions that are sent in the chat box. This is on behalf of Dr. Wong. Assessment of learning is often quite straightforward, but in the classroom, how about assessment for learning and assessment as learning? For a teaching practicum student, how do they show that they indeed have incorporated assessment for learning and assessment as learning? Likewise, what advice would you give a supervisor who needs to evaluate both teaching and assessment simultaneously?
Oh, that's a difficult question. Okay. Now, if you see assessment for learning, the earlier one, assessment for learning, it always happens. For me, it always happens at the beginning of the lesson. Okay. Normally, I ask questions, the scaffolding part. Okay, all that happens at the beginning. At the beginning stage, assessment for learning. Okay, or what you need to know next in the lesson. Okay, you can do that. And assessment, whatever that I shared here, like you see, the activities that I share mostly are assessment as learning, meaning to say they learn, okay, and they done the learning, okay. That's when the ideas come in. So that is assessment as learning. Whatever that I've shared, they are mostly on assessment as learning, okay. And assessment for learning, you need to identify what aspects of students that the students need to understand how they go about it. Okay, and from there you come out with activities with assessment for learning. Now, assessment as learning, assessment for learning, you need to identify what are the students need to understand. For example, I know my students may not be able to use certain vocabulary, okay, in the classroom. Okay, so that is when I do the assessment for learning. So this vocabulary I incorporate, like you remember just now I shared essay on writing essay on a narrative on the horror story, mystery story. I say the direct, indirect speech. So you see the first activity that I did, I asked them to identify the direct speech. I asked them to identify the vocabulary. These are the things that they didn't know, that they need to include this in the essay. They didn't know how to use direct speech. They didn't know what is direct speech. Probably they have learned in their Form 2, Form 3 as grammar lesson, but they do not know how to incorporate. So when I do that first part in the essay, that is when I identify what they need to know. So that's for assessment for learning, okay, that I've already identified. So done, okay, then the assessment as learning. From there, I extend my lesson, okay, with the writing task where they need to come up with similar ideas in the task sheet that I've given. They write down all this, like for example, their own direct speech that they want to use in the essay, the vocabulary that they need to use in the essay that they have not used before, that they don't understand. It could be simple vocabulary like terrified and furious. Some of my weak students, they do not know how to use them. So that is when they use that in the lesson, okay, and they submit to me, I check. So that the two forms are taking place there. Okay, same goes to speaking. When I start the lesson, when I introduce this concept, some concept, the students may not even know how to ask question politely, how to respond politely. So that is when I introduce to them the ideas, and then I do the assessment. Okay, see whether they know or they don't know. They know. When when I can see that they don't know, then I extend with explanation. Then from that explanation, I move on to the next activity. Now, so you see, as teachers, when you do these two things in your classroom, okay, what happens is there are sometimes things might work and might not work. Okay, things might work and might not work. Okay, what happens is some strategies you have to do repeatedly. You know something is wrong with that strategy, assessment as learning and assessment for learning. Okay, so you have to improvise this. Okay, secondly, the second question was advice for students. Okay, advice for students. Okay, one thing I would say, tell you is, before your lecturer comes in, identify some strategies that really work for you and practice several times with your students. Practice means in different topics, okay, different topics that you may want to try out with your students. So do not try anything new that you have not explored, or you want to do something for the first time when somebody is visiting your classroom. Okay, I have been visited by, normally I'll get a lot of visitors to my classroom, like the school inspectorates, people from the ministry, people from the education department. They often come to school and they want to see what's happening in my classroom. So what I do is I will never do anything new in my classroom. I will never introduce anything new in my classroom. New means in terms of strategy. I will never do the gallery walk that I have been doing it if my students have not done it more than twice, more than at least once. Okay, because if they have done once, they know the rules and regulations. If somebody is visiting you and you have never done that particular strategy in the classroom and you are only going to do it on that day, you are in trouble. Okay, as for lecturers, I do not know whether I'm qualified to say this. So as for lecturers, I think for these beginning teachers, they are learners. So what you can do with them is just probably sit, and if they are doing a certain strategy in the classroom and they have done certain things in the classroom, probably if you find it is not right, what you can do is just after the whole session, you can just sit and discuss with them, probably ask them, okay, why do you choose this activity to do? Okay, what is the purpose of this activity? Normally, when I have trainees in my school, when I'm assigned a trainee teacher, normally if the ministry under the trainee teachers under come from the Malaysian universities, they will give me an assessor's form, and I'm required to observe the classroom as well. So whatever activities they do, I will just ask them, okay, what is the purpose of this activity? Sometimes they do this flying papers or what, flying something. They will use this mahjong paper, and then the students will be passing from one another. So sometimes from outside, it may when I look from outside the classroom, it looked kind of ridiculous. Then I would just start asking the teacher, what is the purpose of this activity? Okay, after you have done this activity, do you think your students have learned something from this activity? How would you tell me? Where should I see which part in your lesson that it was clear that your students have done like this particular thing that you want to do it in your classroom? So ask the students, see whether how the students connect the activity to what is their learning outcome. Like if you see just now I told you, my lesson has two parts. The first part is always scaffolding, meaning to say starting with introduction, going about things, meaning to say if I'm going to do speaking on specific topic, I will actually, my first 30 minutes would be actually explaining to, the introduction. Okay, I will do an assessment for learning, asking them questions. Okay, getting their responses to know how much they have understood. Then introducing the topic. Then from the topic, then eliciting answers from them again, how much they know about the topic. Then from there, I will start my explanation. Okay, whatever that you all have said, this is good. Then, okay, but there is an interaction. It's not a lecture. There's an interaction in the between me and my students. There's always an interaction. Meaning to say, I ask them question, I make them respond, then I give my explanation. That is the teacher talk. So I explain to them. After I explain to them, whatever I explain to them, whatever I do here, whatever I tell them, that is what I want them to do next in the activity that I'm going to do. For example, if I want you to do this specific vocabulary, like this speaking cards, this specific vocabulary I want you to master, meaning to say you need to know this vocabulary before you're using it, because you need to know what is socialized before you're using it in your community, in your speaking. Now, after I have introduced all this vocabulary, only then they do the entire speaking activity like for 20 minutes. And you see, every activity that I introduce, every activity that I do for the next 30 minutes, it has 3 rounds. 3 rounds, practice, and the next 2 is like strengthening the understanding. Okay, so at the end of this speaking lesson, okay, at the end of this speaking lesson where the students have used multiple times this card, even if the student did not use the word socialize, she would have heard from the other friends using this word. Okay, now, so at the end of the lesson, when I ask the student, okay, girls, in your reflection, write 5 new words that you have used in your speaking skill today. So they might have be able to actually show this. These are the 5 new words I have learned today. All right, so you see the connection is there, and this is what, for me, the speaking lesson was using this specific vocabulary to describe these sports and make comparison between these sports, okay, which actually achieved their objective. So this is what, when we are observing students, when we are having lessons, when we are observing teacher students or advice of teacher students and also lecturers, you need to have your connection. Whatever activity that you do, you have to make sure at the end of your lesson, it actually, what the outcome that you are expecting to show to the person who is observing you. If you're going to do writing, you're going to focus on specific aspect of writing, make it clear right from the beginning. Okay, make it clear right from the beginning. Do your scaffolding first. After your scaffolding, then do the activity. So relate it to one another. So the relationship is very important. And this is what I feel lacking in some teacher students who come to my school. Okay, Dr. Wong, have I answered the question? Okay.
So to my practicum friends, don't forget to model, scaffold, and then later make sure all your activities are very purposeful. Then you link it all together. All right. Another question from Dr. Wong as well. How important are materials used in assessments? For example, do they impact fairness, accessibility, or the validity of the assessment?
Okay, materials, okay, it depends. Okay, for me, if you see just now, the materials that I shared just now in my presentation, all my materials are my own materials. I do not use textbook. I use workbook or textbook materials only to give homework. Only to give homework because the reason is I know my students have different level of proficiency, so I have to what I do is I do differentiation. Okay, I do differentiation in terms of one instruction. Okay, differentiation in terms of instruction, differentiation in terms of giving them time, and differentiation in terms of giving them support, and also differentiation in terms of materials. Okay, if I have very weak students, I will simplify the material to make it simple for them to understand. Okay, so these are the differentiation is very important when it comes to it's not only for materials lah, it's also for all your classroom activities. It's very important. So my materials, I don't use the textbook materials or workbook materials. No, my materials I build my own because I know one thing, I know my students level. Second thing, not all textbook materials or all workbook the materials on the shelf that we find in popular bookstores and so on, they actually looking into what is expected to achieve at the end of that particular lesson. So if you are a good teacher, if you want to be a good teacher, make sure like for me, I will always go through the scheme of work. The scheme of work that we have for the public schools in Malaysia, it's very organized, meaning to say right from the beginning to the end, it starts from basic, goes to the higher level, higher level, higher level. So you follow that, then you will be able to build the student skill from one unit to another unit. So that is why I don't trust the workbooks. I build my own material based on the scheme of work so that I can build materials according my students' level. So understanding your students' level is important. Okay, and you can actually understand your students' level very fast. Okay, very fast. So materials, build your materials according to your students' level. Okay, I know like me, as I said earlier, I'm teaching from 5 classes. Their level should be at least B2. But then they are not at B2 level at all. Some of them are at A2 high. So the same material that I use, I simplify that material from the textbook. I simplify to simple words, simple structure, and then I use the same material with them, but it's a simplified version, okay, which helps the assessment better because I want to build their skills, their language skills from where they are. So that is when I continue to build. So far up to today, like my Form 4, Form 5 students, thank God, I could see progression, okay, provided they come to school.
Yeah, that is true. Thank you, Dr. Mohan. I am going to open the floor for questions. Anyone wants to ask any questions? I'll give 3 more seconds. No questions? Okay, probably no questions then. All right, I think I'll just summarize what Dr. Mohan said just now about materials. So again, differentiation and also differentiation based on the assessment framework your schools use, if it's CEFR, and also if it's depends on which school. Like our school, we use Bell Foundation, and use it, understand your students, and then the materials will work wonderfully. So I think there's no questions. Therefore, we can end the session now. Thank you so much, Dr. Mohan, for today. It was a very insightful session, a lot of juices to be absorbed, to reflect on and see what we can apply, especially us student teachers and teachers who are here for the probably next week and so, and then in our practice as well. Thank you so much. Anyone has to say anything else?
Thank you so much, Mohan, for coming and staying with us, for 2 hours from 4 to 6. And it's really helpful, especially for the Year 4 students, and not just the Year 4 students. I'm going to share the recording with the Year 2 students who are doing materials as well. Some of them were here, and then I think on a Friday, and then after that, they had got something else. But yeah, it's really, really helpful. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
For the music.
Oh.
Thank you so
I
much.
think it's from you, right? Thank you.
Have a nice weekend, everyone.
Thank you so much. Bye bye. Take care.
Bye.